Sorry guys, I'm here. What's going on? Going on, Madden, Vicky, Opus, Blaze, anybody else that's listening? QuanTower over ExoCharts? I do believe QuanTower is the better platform, yes. Can you guys hear me now? Just checking on the sound. If you guys are just coming in on YouTube, this will be our order flow tips and tricks using QuanTower Part 4. I thought because today we're getting a lot of action on Bitcoin, it would be a good day to kind of show off some little tips and tricks using order flow. So right away, we're getting a little bit of a bounce on an important level. So if you guys use my techniques on volume profile, you would notice that this is a value area low retest. We are reclaiming the POC as well. This is also what you would consider a lowercase b style day, meaning the bears are in control. You are safer to sell the bounces, sell the highs than you are to buy the lows. You can still buy the lows, but eventually these days do typically lead to continuation to the downside. So if you do get caught in that move when you bought the low, you are going to be taking a loss, right? So right now we are actually bouncing off the low, so it's not looking too bad. Reclaim POC pretty quickly. If you do lose the value area low, the next important level that you would want to keep an eye on would be the weekly value area low, which is 65,800. If we do continue to bounce here, the next major level you want to watch is the VWAP at 63.4, and then the value area high at 67.7. Sorry, I said 63 earlier. 67.4 and 67.7. I'm not sure what this is. Unexpected error occurred. Please try again. I think it's losing connection with FTX, but that's okay because we're using Binance. Let's go ahead and disconnect FTX so we stop getting those alerts. Pretty nasty sell-off that we're seeing on the altcoins currently. The altcoins are bleeding on this pullback on Bitcoin. I think they're anticipating Bitcoin topping out here. So far, this does look like a sweep where we see that volume spike and then we see the recovery. The volume is actually pretty strong on the recovery here. Typically during sweeps, the highest volume will be on the lowest candle, so where the candle sold off into the lows. But actually here, the highest volume is actually on the recovery. That doesn't mean a whole lot. It means the buyers are pretty strong. The problem is the volume is actually on the sell candle, not on the buy candles. So the main volume spike here was happening because the sellers were trying to push this lower, but the buyers were fighting them. So you had a lot of volume on both sides, giving it the highest volume candle. We do have a sell wall around 66.8. You can see that right up here. You can see there is a massive volume node protecting 66.7. So unless the buyers can reclaim 66.7 here, it is most likely going to go lower. The next level that they would try to sell off is around 66.9. You can see that low volume node right there on the DOM. For now, the major resistance is 66.7. You can see they're actually lowering their sell walls here, so they are trying to push this lower. You can see as it falls, the sell wall falls with it. Notice how they keep lowering their price. We're back on the POC. We're almost sitting on the POC to the exact dollar. If you look at my top left chart, if you begin to lose this POC, you'll be looking for the value area low, which is where we bounced earlier. And then if you lose that value area low, you have the weekly value area low, which lines up kind of with the node from November 8th. And then we have the value area low of November 8th, which is that 66.1 level. Right now, we're just seeing a little bit of a battle. The sellers are trying to push this lower, but the buyers are trying to prevent this from losing the POC. If the buyers cannot get a full rotation, meaning getting back to the value area high, then most likely this next sell-off that breaks the value area low will be a breakout and not a fake out. Hey, Poncho, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you for a while. You can see on my DOM on the right screen, you see those yellow levels coming in at 66.3 and 66.325. You do have the buyers trying to protect that value area low. You said the production in Hollywood's been crazy, which means more work for you. I'm glad to hear, man. Glad you're getting back into it. I know it was probably pretty crazy with COVID. You can see the volume is still spiking on the 15-minute, highest volume candle so far, but we're not getting a whole lot of volume here on the 1 minute. We did re-lose the ADMA, meaning the bears are short-term in control here on the 1 minute. We're sitting on the 30-minute value area low, which is this yellow profile right here. You can see that value area low is basically right where price is. Once we start to lose that level, that will be short-term weakness. Sell volume is extremely low here. If they want to push through the value area low, they're going to need a lot more sell volume. The delta is actually still positive on the day, just barely. But on this next sell-off, they should be flipping it into a bearish delta. Okay, look at this massive wall over here on the DOM. You can see 88 Bitcoins on that. Let me see if I can turn this off so it doesn't move. You have 88 Bitcoins. They're not showing it anymore, but 66,000 had those Bitcoins there. And that is right on the POC of the week. So the POC of the week is this node right here, which is that 66,000 buy wall. They're trying to protect the weekly profile. That's why if you're doing this sort of trading, you have to pay attention to all these different levels. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. If you break it down piece by piece, it's all the same exact style of trading. Like it's all the same exact levels. You're just looking at different time frames. So you have like the 30-minute, you have the daily, you have the weekly. All the levels are being found for you. Value area low, value area high, POCs, volume nodes. You know what I mean? It's doing the hard work for you. You just have to pay attention to where the levels are. You will see a lot of confluence in these levels once you realize where these levels are coming from. So if you didn't look at the weekly profile, you would see that 66,000 buy wall and you would just think it's a normal buy wall. But if you pay attention to the weekly profile, you understand that is the weekly POC. Meaning That is the most transacted price for the entire week, which for Bitcoin, the weekly starts on Sunday. Man, the altcoins are getting slaughtered. This is a bad time to be in alts, and I'm in 3 alt positions here, so we might be taking some losses if this pullback does not subside pretty soon. XMR failing right off that trend line that we talked about on stream yesterday. It's down 7% off that trend line. Nice bounce on Bitcoin there. You got a big surge in buy volume coming in. Hey, William, he said, does the bid and ask include leverage positions? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The bid and ask shows you exactly what is on that bid and ask, except for hidden orders, obviously. But for example, like if I take a 10x position and I want to trade 1,000 contracts, it's going to show you 1,000 contracts. Is FTX down? I think FTX is down completely. None of my charts are moving on TradingView. Let me check Twitter real fast. That would make sense with the connection issue on QuanTower. Not seeing anybody say they're down on Twitter. Okay, never mind. Yeah, people are saying they are down. Okay, well, that's not good. I love being in 3 alt positions while FTX is going down while they're nuking. That's fantastic. Blaze said, when coming down to a level, a PUC, val, or whatever, what do you want to see before entering a long trade, for example? There are different techniques, obviously. So during certain patterns, you can just limit those levels and buy in once it touches the level. But depending on what the pattern is, mostly for the day, you sometimes do not want to bid those levels. You want to watch how they react on the lower time frame. So say the 1 minute, the 15 minute, etc. But for example, like today, we're in a lowercase b shape, meaning the bears are mostly in control. You're in a bearish imbalance. So when it comes down to the value area low or the POC, you don't normally want to just be bidding those levels because the bears are in control. You want to be watching to see how the price reacts. So if the price does start to get like a volume surge on those levels and it starts to flip its delta, so in the short term, maybe there becomes a buyer delta. If you get a buyer delta when you're coming back to retest the value real low, then that usually shows you that people want to buy that level, right? So that could be like a warning that you're starting to bottom. If you're in like a P-shaped profile, like a bullish imbalance, and you come back down to retest the value area low, you can be more inclined to just put your bids on those levels. So if it taps the level, you get filled at the best possible price, and then it starts to push back towards the high. So it's mainly just a probabilities thing. Like some cases, you're going to have a lower probability of it bouncing on that level. In some cases, you're going to have a better probability. So if you just follow the longer time frames, like the daily and the weekly, and you understand what kind of pattern you're in, what kind of profile you're in, that will tell you if you want to just blindly bid or you want to wait for confirmation. Today would be more of a day you want to wait for confirmation. So for example, like when we came down to retest this value area low here, you can see that we came down to test it. And yes, it damn near did test that level to the tick. So if you did have your bids down there, you would have got the best possible entry. But if you would have just waited to see like the bounce starting to come in, you could have gotten a pretty good entry as well. You didn't need to get the exact bottom. So just a little bit of confirmation coming in there, showing you there's a small buyer delta. That would have given you enough to buy the low. Now, even though we are bouncing off the value area low today, we are still in a bearish imbalance. So if you did want to buy the low, you would have to size in properly. You don't really want to be taking a massive size position, buying up the low on a bearish day. You know what I mean? So if you're in like a massive bullish uptrend and you're testing the value area low, then you can size properly into that level. Now, in this case, you kind of are in that scenario where we are in a very strong uptrend. The problem being, this is kind of a fake out up here. You have like a swing high failure. So the bears are actually in control here because we tried to take an all-time high. It gave you a swing high failure. It gave you a retest. And then we started to sell off. So yes, we are testing a bullish trend, but it is giving you a bearish pattern. Man, I can't see how these coins are reacting because FTX is down. It looks like they are bouncing a little bit on Binance. Yeah, we are getting a little bit of a bounce on Binance. That's good. Hopefully when FTX comes back, they don't have like nasty sell candles that sweep, because that will take out people's stops. They're still down on TradingView. And I can't pull up my FTX because I'm on stream, so kind of flying blind here on my altcoins. Yeah, no problem, Blaze. Hey, Nat, you said FTX is moving on the mobile app. Can you tell me what Cake is at? What is Cake at on FTX? If it's still moving on your mobile app. It's locked at $18.90 on TradingView. That's one of my biggest positions currently. BNB's recovering good. Yeah, BNB is on fire for sure. Okay, so going back to the order flow stuff, we're seeing some bids start to come in. Keep an eye on the DOM. You can see that the bid side is fairly heavy. The bids are a lot thicker than the ask. They are still protecting that 66.9 level that I told you guys about earlier. So until the bulls reclaim that 66.9, then the bears are still in control until that level is reclaimed. It's at 1923. Okay, so it's bouncing a little bit. Nice. What about XMR? How's XMR doing on FTX? 1925, nice. Okay. We're getting a nice little bounce then. My three positions right now in altcoins are Cake, Mid, and XMR. XMR, we were well in profit, but this nasty sell-off took away our profit. I think we were up about 5% on that. Now we're probably about break even to down maybe 2%. It's at 276. Oh, it's bouncing that hard? Nice. It's up like 3% from the low. Very nice. Why don't I actually put a trade together? I don't do a whole lot of live trading on stream. My trading is done in Discord for the most part. I'm already in more than enough positions currently. That's why I'm not live trading. This is the deepest I've been on altcoins all year. Like I said, I'm in Cake, I'm in Mid, I'm in XMR. We're holding spot Ethereum. We're pretty heavy already. And as of right now, there is not a trade that I would have taken with my style of scalping. The only trade that I would have taken is maybe that value area low trade, and that's a hard maybe, because like I said, on days with a lowercase b-shaped profile, you want to be safe, or sorry, you want to be careful buying the lows. Typically, those trades are lower probability, so it hasn't really given you a very high probability trade just yet. If it would have given you a more prominent sweep there, then yes, you could have bought that. You could have bought that low with high conviction. As of right now, there is not very high conviction. I'm not going to force low conviction trades on stream just so you guys can watch me trade. If you guys want to see my live trading, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. I've been posting my trades in Discord for nearly almost 4 years at this point. What's your time horizon on alt trades? So these alt trades are swing trades. So I'm looking for best case scenario, it would be like a week, but sometimes they're going to take a little longer than that. But I would like to be out of these trades in less than a week. Now there's a gap to fill on the FTX charts. Once the data comes back, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, there it is. It's coming back. Okay, so it looks like most of our positions are bouncing. That's good. Hey, Joe, what's going on? Nat said, "What would be a portion? Excuse me. What would be a portion of your portfolio you'd be comfortable in crypto? You mean like if you had a portfolio for all of your trading, what percentage would you put in crypto? Or like if your whole portfolio is in crypto, what percentage are you putting in each trade? Because those are two very different questions." You said, what do you get if you purchase Discord? All your trades are also included. So Discord there's a couple of tiers. We have the $30 tier, which is mainly just for analysis. So if you guys are looking to just follow my daily watch list or my weekly watch list and ask questions about analysis or anything like that, that's what the $30 tier is for. If you're looking for more of like a mentorship or a live trading aspect, that is what the higher tiers are for. And it's not just my live trades. There's me, JMA, Sticky. We have Dime in there as well. We have a couple of other analysts that we've brought on that you guys might be familiar with on Twitter. And we post all of our trades in our channels. I'm also in Discord from 9:30 to 4 p.m. calling out different things that I see on stocks. So I have a bunch of scanners that you guys have seen before, and I call out anything that looks good on those scanners. I look at Cheddar Flow and I call out different things that I'm seeing on my Cheddar Flow scanners, that sort of thing. If I find any trades that I like that I'm starting to build positions in, I also call those out in Discord as well. We also have the one-on-one tutoring that comes with the Discord. So if you guys are looking for more of a one-on-one aspect, I do have 45-minute tutoring sessions that I do Monday through Thursday. And then it also comes with a bunch of indicators. If you guys do the monthly, you get the Oasis Trading Suite, you get the trading bot, and then you get 10 of our free indicators. If you do the quarterly tier, you get all of our indicators plus the trading bot. You said crypto versus stocks versus commodities. Okay, so if you have like an entire portfolio and you're asking what percentage to put in crypto, that's going to be dependent on your risk profile. Now, if you're a younger person, I would say you should lean heavier in crypto than you do in stocks. Younger as in like less than 25, less than 30 years old. Because you have time to make back your losses, you should have a higher risk appetite. And there is no better risk than crypto. Crypto, as you guys have seen in the past 5 years, has outperformed every single market tenfold almost. You know what I mean? So if you guys are willing to accept more risk, I think you should be leaning more into crypto. If you are getting to the stage in your life where you don't want to accept that much risk, I would be leaning heavier on stocks. And just adjust those percentages according to how much risk you would like. And when I say crypto, I don't mean throw your fucking whole account into Shiba or Doge or these dog shit meme coins. I'm talking about trading the big names like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, FTT, like the coins that are actually being used on a day-to-day basis. Okay, not the dog shit meme coins that have the potential of going up 10,000%. Yes, you can put a little bit of money into those, but you don't want to be putting a massive chunk of your portfolio in there. All right, we got a little bit of action going on here, so let's go back to the order flow. We have a big spike in buy volume happening on the 1 minute chart. You see that big green candle coming in on that hammer. The hammer is indicating that you do want to push higher. You do see the price is starting to push higher here. You have reclaimed the 66.9 level, which I mentioned earlier. Now we are trying to reclaim the 67,000 level, which is the highest volume node on the resistance side. You can see the volume node starting to build up here. And then once we take this level, there are not a whole lot of high volume nodes above us. Okay, so if we take this level, you should be able to get to VWAP, which is around 67.3. Would I care about the FTX gap as it's due to downtime and data and not supply and demand? No, those gaps are going to be so small, they're not going to really cause any major swings. Do you use futures for your positions? If you're asking about my crypto positions, I use the perpetual contracts. They typically have better liquidity. I appreciate that, Blaze. I'm glad you like the content. My style for my channel is much different than most financial channels. We're a very dry educational group. We don't try to do anything fancy or show off. It's just very dry education, and I know a lot of you guys like that style, so that's what you're going to get. You can see on the time and sales on the middle bottom of my screen, we have a very red time and sales coming in. That's just showing you that the bears, for the most part on the big side of the orders, are trying to protect this level. They know that if they lose this 67,000 node, which is this highest volume node, they will very easily begin to lose their positions. So they are going to try very hard to protect this level. You also have a little bit of 15-minute resistance on the ADMA around 67.1. So you do have a little bit of sell pressure coming in there. And now we can start to see a little bit of a push off this level because of that sell volume. We can also see that on the left side of my screen, look at the bottom left, the cumulative delta has lost the zero line. So we are starting to turn negative on the day. The sellers are starting to take control on the grand scheme of things on the daily. William, I typically try to stay around 3 to 5x on most of my trades for crypto. Rusty said, are exchange tokens considered securities? If not, I wonder why Coinbase doesn't have them. Yes, there's a big legal battle with most exchange coins where they're trying to deem them as securities. Okay, as we can see, the 1 minute is starting to sell off a little bit here. We do have that sell pressure coming in on that 67,000 node that we talked about. Until the bulls can reclaim that level, the longer time frame sellers are going to be pushing this down here. Look at the 30-minute candle on our TPO chart. You can see a little bit of an inverted hammer coming in. The inverted hammer is signaling that the bears are selling the highs. Now that the 1 minute chart is starting to flip bearish, you want to watch for the bounce here. If it bounces and it's not able to reclaim 66.8, 66.9, then the bears are most likely going to push this back down to around 66.4, 66.2. Gift, I'm not sure what you mean. You asked, do you calculate the 1% move of price to find daily targets or pivots? Not sure what you're asking. For my targets, I'm mainly always using volume profile levels or levels that are generated from my indicators. So I'm either using pivots or I'm using Fibonacci or I'm using volume profile. That is almost always what I'm going to use for targets. Okay, here comes the bounce that I was just talking about. If the bulls can actually bounce this and reclaim 66.8, 66.9, they're not looking too bad, but it looks like the sell wall is already coming in. Look at the sell wall at 66.7. One thing to note here is looking at the daily chart. It's the chart that's in the middle of my screen, the very small chart. Look at the two dojis back to back. So yesterday, we talked about this on stream. I said that it looked like a micro pullback, and you have to wait for a break of the high or the low of the micro pullback. Now, typically, whichever way that candle is broken, you have a higher probability chance of pushing in that direction. Today is a very rare exception. Today we are actually seeing an outside bar breaking both the high and the low of the micro pullback candle. This is very rare. You do not typically see this after a super clean top doji like we saw yesterday. In this case, it basically is extending the micro pullback. So this candle, if it closes like this, you'll be trading it in the same exact way that you would have traded the first micro pullback. So now this candle becomes the range, and then whichever direction we break this doji, you will have a high probability of heading in that direction. This is a good example of trading being a game of probabilities. It's not a very high probability that something like this happens where we have that outside bar forming after the doji, but it is something that does happen, so you need to know how to prepare for it. If I had to give it like a random percentage of how many times I've seen it happen, I'd say it happens less than like 3 out of 10 times. I'd say micro pullbacks that are that clean, that have like a very significant impulse candle, and then you have a top doji resting right at the top of that engulfing candle. If you break that doji, probably 7 out of 10 times, you're going to continue in that direction. So this giving you an outside bar is extremely rare. The reason this is happening is most likely due to what we're seeing with the dollar. I called this out in Discord earlier today. If you guys were in Discord, we had a bond auction today with the equities market, right? The bond auction led to the dollar pumping, the US dollar. The US dollar had a very significant move. If you guys take a look at the yields are currently up 9% on the 10-year yield, 6% on the 20-year yield. The dollar index is up 1%, which is a very big move. The dollar index does not move that much. So 1% is actually a very big move. You have an engulfing candle on the dollar index that is engulfing the last like 2 to 3 months. What does that mean for Bitcoin? Typically, Bitcoin has an inverse relationship to the dollar, but it has not been respecting the dollar correlation recently. Bitcoin has kind of decoupled from the dollar correlation. But with these massive moves that we're seeing in the dollar and the yields, it is correlating to the dollar. So it took a little bit to catch up. The dollar was pumping, what was it, around 1 o'clock. Bitcoin didn't start nuking until when? No, it was about the same time. It did start nuking around 1 o'clock. So yeah, it was pretty much right around the bond auction that Bitcoin started to sell off. So the correlation with the dollar is actually spot on here. Okay, going back to our order flow, look at what's happening here. The bulls were not able to reclaim that 66.8 to 66.9 level, which we discussed, and now it is failing, bouncing off that ADMA to the downside. We have lost the POC, as you guys can see on the left side of my chart. So the bears are in control here, both on the long time frame and the short time frame. This also goes back to what I said earlier. When you're in a lowercase b shape, you can buy the lows, but you want to be very, very, very careful doing so. And when you do buy the lows, you want to be taking profit a lot quicker than you would typically take profit when you're buying the lows, because you're buying the dip in a bearish day. So if the day continues to be bearish, your profit is going to evaporate, which is exactly what just happened. If you're in profit from buying the value area low, yes, you are still in profit, but you've given away about 75% of that profit. We actually just got a bullish sweep there. Look at the 1 minute. We have a bullish sweep on that hammer candle. Let's see if the buyers can step up here. The time frame on the top left is a 30-minute chart. 30-minute on the top left. On the top right side, that is a 1 minute. On the bottom right, that is a 15-minute. And then on the middle, that is a daily. You said, what is the strongest correlation? BTC DOM, futures, USDT? Sorry, what do you mean? Correlation with what? With the dollar? I would say just Bitcoin compared to the US dollar would give you the strongest correlation. It hasn't been correlating trend-wise recently, but with these big events like the bond auctions, or if the dollar just has a random pump or a random nuke, Bitcoin has been correlating short-term. It has not been correlating trend-wise. How are the altcoins doing now that we're going for a secondary sell-off? Yeah, they're still holding a little bit. Not doing too bad. Okay, so that sweep is actually leading to some buy pressure here. If you guys go back to watch part 1, part 2, part 3, we talked about sweeps quite often. Sweeps are like when you have these low time frame volume spikes and you have kind of a reversal. It can happen to the top side and the bottom side. So like this candle right here, this little hammer candle, it is the highest volume spike on this down move. That will typically lead to a small reversal. The small reversals can turn into massive reversals if the volume continues to pick up. In this case, the volume is not picking up very much, so the sell-off is a lot easier. Notice how this red candle is coming in very easily with little to no volume. That is because the buy volume after the sweep candle was extremely low. If the buy volume after the sweep candle was continuing to maintain above relative, that would mean the bulls are still strong. In this case, they are not. Yeah, basically you want to use any of the Bitcoin USD correlations. You can correlate it with like Coinbase because their chart's been around for a very long time. Notice how quickly that sweep candle was taken. So now the sweep candle has been lost. You're still finding support. Look at the 15-minute here. Look at my 15-minute chart. The last 4 candles are kind of all bottoming out on the same area. That's because there's a major support here on the longer time frame. So if you keep looking at the 1-minute chart and you're like, wow, why do we keep bouncing off this same level? It's because it's a longer time frame support. It's not a support on the 1 minute. It's a support on the daily. It's a support on the weekly. Okay. This actually just turned into the weekly POC. So the weekly POC earlier was 66,000. Now it's 66.5 because we have traded here for so long. Look at these buy walls coming in on the DOM. You see the DOM on the far right side? We're getting a lot of yellow action. That means the buy side is extremely heavy. If you look at the bottom of the DOM, can you guys see that on the chart? Yeah, you can. So it says 260 compared to 50. That means that there's about a 4 to 4.25 weighting on the buy side here. They are 4x the sell side. Okay, here comes the sell-off. Still very weak. Yes, correct. 4x within a specific depth. This is within, I think I have it set to 15. Within 15 depth of 25. Is it 25 or? Yeah, it's $25. My levels are $25 apart, 15 depth. Eesh, this sell-off's getting pretty bad. Altcoins are starting to follow as well. Okay, very, very strong volume coming in. Look at the 1-minute chart. We're putting in the highest volume candle on this entire sell-off. Look at the time in sales. The time in sales is basically bright red here. The buy walls are getting completely annihilated. The next level is coming up. The next level is 65.1. We're about to tap it. Okay, there it is. 65.1 has been hit. Let's see if we can bounce here. This is the value area low of November 8th. We are bouncing off this level almost to the T. Buyers starting to step in. Nice little bottom wick on the 1 minute. You do have the the green candle coming in. Now, go back to what I talked about in part 1, part 2, I believe it was. This buy candle is not extremely significant because when you have that significant of a sell-off, it is extremely easy to bounce back about 50 to 61.8% of that sell-off because the books have been cleaned. If the books are clean, it is easier for the buyers to step back in and push that level back to where it was. So yes, it is a good thing, but it is not extremely significant unless they can hold that level. Where is my drawing tool here? So if I take a Fibonacci tool, it's going to be hard because the chart is moving so much. So notice how we're breaking the 618. So this is actually becoming slightly strong here. If this can stay above 65,800, this is actually showing a significant bounce. If you guys bought the value area low, which we mentioned earlier, at 65.1, you damn near caught the bottom. Go back to a previous question that somebody asked me earlier. How would you trade this? Would you put your bids there, or would you kind of wait for confirmation? This is an instance where you don't want to wait for too much confirmation. If it is giving you a significant sell-off, like you're selling off rapidly, you have to have conviction in that level. If you want to trade that level, you have to put your limits into that level because it is most likely going to bounce way too quickly for you to get in on that level, trading the market side. If you guys remember the trade that we did live in Discord, I think it was a few weeks back. Let me find it on the chart. It was the sell-off in... Sorry, it was way longer than that. Time flies, man. It was back in September. If you guys remember that trade that we did live in voice chat, remember I told you guys I was buying the low when it was selling off. I tried to market that sell-off, and it missed me. Or sorry, it from the time that I clicked buy and from when I got filled, it was about a 4 to 5% difference. So you have to have conviction in those levels. Sorry, let's go back to the chart here. We are nuking. The next level is 64.68 and 64.9. 64.9 is being respected. 64.7 has not been tested just yet. The next level after losing that would be 63.4. And this is very easy to do, guys. You just look at the previous days, you look at the value area lows, you look at the POCs, and you just look at where your levels are lining up. Now, for the most part, QuanTower does this for you. And if you want to, you can go ahead and like extend these. Like you could draw out like horizontal lines if you wanted to. Like we could go ahead and do this. And we could just mark these levels out just so we kind of remember where they are. Okay, so like these are our 4 next levels. I actually like doing this because it actually shows you where these levels are, so that actually helps. So we have one around 64.7, 65.2, 64.4, and 63.4. Okay. Sorry, it's very hard to keep up when price is moving this quickly. Yeah, I'm familiar with that indicator gift. Not really a fan for my style of trading. Mert, you asked, do I use 70% or 80%? I use 70% for my value area. Notice how, go back. I know obviously you guys are watching this live, but if you're watching the VOD, go back before this sell-off happened, back to where we were talking about when the delta shifted negative. Once this delta shifted negative, that was a very big red flag that the long-term sellers were taking over on the longer time frames, right, and the shorter time frames. The long-term sellers were beginning to take full control, basically. This is extremely scary for altcoin positions. I'm actually probably going to get stopped out on a few of my positions here if this continues. I think the only position that's going to get stopped out is cake. I might get stopped out on cake here, which I knew I was buying early, and I probably should not have bought that early. We're going to pay the price on that. That's okay. You win some, you lose some. Okay, so let's get rid of this fib tool. It's kind of blocking on my chart. We are currently bouncing off one of the important levels. This has not made a weekly low yet, excuse me. If it breaks below 63,000, that will be a weekly low. Rusty, it's extremely hard to filter out spoofing, because if it was easy, spoofing wouldn't really exist. Spoofing is used because it is so hard to find. Okay, so far the buyers of the, what is that? The value area low of November 8th are still heavily in profit. Let me fix this line. This line is actually a little off. There we go. How did I mess these lines up so much? This one's off too. Okay, those are pretty good. Okay, so this actually goes back to what I was talking about earlier in the video as well. Remember when we started the video, I told you guys that today was a lowercase b-shaped day. And during a lowercase b-shaped day, yes, you can buy the lows, but you have to be very careful, because very often you will see continuation past those lows. And this is exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing continuation past the value area low of the day, because the bears are in full control. Now, on the lowercase b-shaped days that you do see continuation, that means that the higher time frame sellers are the ones pushing it past that value area low. If the higher time frame sellers are no longer interested in selling, those are the days that you will see the value area low being protected. Okay, so in today's case, the higher time frame sellers are willing to sell below 66,000, and that is why they pushed it all the way down to 64.6. Okay. Hey, Murray, you said you taught me more about volume profile trading than with your YouTube than any other source combined. Greatly appreciated. I appreciate the comment, man. I'm happy to help. Okay, let's look more towards the short time frame chart. Let's look at the 1 minute chart on the top right. Notice how the sweep candle actually gave you a second sweep. It gave you that swing low failure. So the sweep candle was actually this candle. You can identify the sweep candles by looking at the highest volume spike during that sell-off. So this is the sweep candle, but you actually created a swing low failure with this candle here. Swing low failures, if you guys are familiar, are also bullish. So we have the sweep. If we go back and we look at the Fibonacci technique that I was telling you guys earlier, you want to, oh, is that, oh, I thought that was magnetic. There we go. Once this reclaims the 61.8, that means that the buyers are starting to take control of that sweep candle, of that sweep. Okay. Now this one, they started to take control, but then they instantly got sold off. And that created the swing low failure. So yes, in the short term, that was very scary. It sold off very rapidly. If you tried to take that that position once you reclaimed the 61.8, you would have lost that trade pretty quickly. But once this started to buy back up and it gave you that swing low failure, this actually creates a bullish candle. Okay, so now we can go back to our sweep candle, which we're showing here, and we can look at the Fibonacci on the sell zone, which is anywhere from the 50% to the 61.8. So this would be the sell zone. It's kind of hard to see. I know my chart's getting a little cluttered, excuse me. But we have reclaimed that level. We are approaching the 100% reclaim of the sweep candle. Now, once we reclaim the 100%, then we could say that the bulls are starting to look very strong short term. The only problem is that's based on Fibonacci. Based on volume, the bulls aren't very strong here. We don't see a significant buy wall. We do not see significant buy volume on the 1 minute. On the 30 minute, we are starting to see a little bit of a buyer delta, but that's because the candle is only 3.5 minutes old. Okay. We are seeing something very significant happen, and it is the reclaim of the value area low. If you guys look at my chart on the top left, we see the reclaim of the value area low on the day, which we did lower. The value area low pushed down, which expanded our bearish value. So the bearish value went lower, and then we reclaimed it. So that's pretty bullish. We also reclaimed the weekly value area low after pushing that lower. Okay, so now we're seeing this massive support starting to form on the higher time frames around 65.8 to 66,000. Okay, so on the low time frames, yes, we have all these little things happening like the sweep and the swing low failure, but you really want to be paying attention to the higher time frames to understand on the grand scheme of things what is happening. We are reclaiming the value area low on the day, we are reclaiming the value area low on the week, and we are reclaiming a massive node, which is also the POC on the week. Okay? So overall, this is fairly bullish. Hey, Yash, you said you subbed to QuanTower. Hopefully you used my referral link. If not, don't sweat it. I actually don't think I posted my referral link in this video. Let me see if I can go find that for you guys. If you guys want to try out QuanTower, perfect time for a small disclaimer. I am using an affiliate account on QuanTower. They did provide me with an affiliate account to use on stream. They do not pay me. They do not sponsor me to say anything good about them. They only provided me with an affiliate account. Nice little buy up here. The next level, next major level as resistance would be the POC on the day, which is right around 66.5. There is my referral link if you guys would like to use that. It does support the channel, so I do appreciate it. Also reminds me that I forgot to change the thumbnail on the video, but we'll do that after. All right, I think I went over a whole lot of tips and tricks on this video, so we're gonna close it down. Do you guys have any final questions before we go about anything that we went over? I'm really glad that we were able to catch something like today on the live stream. I think you guys can go back and watch this video and learn a lot. Rusty said, can anything bullish come from this on a daily level? Yes. So on a daily, if this reclaimed the low of the doji, which is right around 66.2, that would be fairly bullish. If you could reclaim the low of the doji and then close, that would be a pretty bullish close. Or if we could somehow reclaim the delta and push all the way back above zero and get a positive delta, that would be bullish as well. Vicky said, any Black Friday deals for joining Discord? Yes, we will have a Black Friday deal, and that will start basically the week of Black Friday. We offer a Black Friday deal every year. Murray said, do you care more about bid-ask sizes on the order book, more the volume on the, order book more, or the volume on the further right for the supply and resist? I care more about the volume profile. Yeah. So I care more about this. Because the books can be spoofed, this cannot be spoofed. This is traded volume. So this is much more effective than the DOM. The DOM can be spoofed. The DOM can have fake orders. The DOM can have iceberg orders. So it can be heavily manipulated. You cannot manipulate the volume profile. It has already been traded. But all right, guys, I'm going to close it down on that. I appreciate you guys being here. As always, make sure to hit that like button if you guys push out my content to other people as well. So I really appreciate that. If you guys could hit that like button. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. If this is your first time showing up to the stream, this is not how our stream is every single day. This is one of our teaching streams. We have analysis streams where we just hang out and we talk about charts and we look at analysis. You guys ask me for analysis requests. Those are our typical streams. These are the streams where we pick a topic and we kind of do a little bit of a tips and tricks style of a stream. But if you guys like this kind of content, make sure to check out my How to Trade playlist. It has about, I think, 20 to 30 videos at this point, going over a bunch of different techniques. So make sure to check that out if you guys want to learn more about my trading techniques. But all right, guys, you guys have a good day. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the Discord at 9:30 in the morning or on the live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. Peace out, guys.